The year is 1943. The Second World War rages on, and the Germans are on the verge of developing a weapon that could alter the course of the war. Kurt Diebner and Werner Heisenberg led the research on the Nazis' nuclear program. They believed that they could use the concept of nuclear fission to develop a weapon so devastating it could level an entire city in one go. Now, I'm not a nuclear physicist, and I'm guessing neither are you, so we're not going to get too terribly complicated in this video. At its absolute simplest, a nuclear bomb is a plutonium core surrounded by high explosives meant to expedite the atom-splitting process. Before we can go on, it must be noted that plutonium is not a naturally occurring substance. In order to create plutonium, one would have to send a barrage of neutrons at a uranium atom, enriching it. This process is exceedingly dangerous, and difficult to safely manage. A lack of precaution ends up looking a little something like... Lucky for Germany, Kurt and Werner were in fact very cautious, and they knew that they needed some sort of regulator for this process. They decided on using something called heavy water. But wait, what is heavy water? The too long didn't read is that it's a water molecule with a dose of deuterium injected into the hydrogen atom. Heavy water actually is naturally occurring, there's just not very much of it. So, the Germans had to produce that as well. To do this, water undergoes a process called electrolysis, which I am not going to try and explain. As one would expect, there weren't too many places in the world just making this stuff. However, through a brilliant stroke of luck, there just so happened to be a hydroelectric plant in Norway with the capacity to make a bunch of it. Here enters Vermork. Before being fitted to aid the Nazi war effort, Vermork produced power for a factory and created heavy water as a byproduct. Before the Germans had a chance to capture the heavy water reserves, the Allies evacuated the water out of Norway, greatly disrupting the Germans' plans. However, the Germans were quick to once again start producing. The plant manager, Axel Albert, secretly kept the British informed during the German occupation. He ended up aiding the British Special Operations Executive, though perhaps you may know it as the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. With his help, the British devised a plan to sabotage Vermork and permanently disrupt the Germans' ability to develop nuclear weapons. Two missions were greenlit, Operation Grouse and Operation Freshman. Grouse was an intelligence operation, meant to provide insight on the plant's layout and defense. The second operation, Freshman, was composed of 32 British air troops, who were to land 2 military gliders with the help of the Grouse Group. Tragically, a combination of bad weather and miscommunication would lead to one of the gliders crashing into the Norwegian wilderness, and the other being captured by the Germans and executed. The Grouse Group retreated into the wilderness, living off the land and surviving with little to no supplies. A whole 3 months later, a third operation was greenlit. Operation Gunnerside.